We're in the thick of the Libra season.
Which means it's justice tonight on LOL.
I don't just talk stuff and repeat stuff. I'm living this stuff.
And you can thank me for covering your Astro.
Welcome to Leading Out Loud, the spiritual shift show that's lucid and luminary. I'm psychic astrologer Christopher Witecki, the sensei to serious joy.
And I'm Scott Cruz, psychic medium and mentor at scottcruzpm.com. So, as I always ask you every week, how has your week been, Christopher?
And as I always answer, horrible. No, it was tough. It was, Libra's not my best sign. I got to tell you, it's just that air. Too much air kind of blows me up a little bit. The sun crossed my Uranus, so take Uranus anywhere you want with that word. But what that means is just things are not. It's like a bull in a rowboat. That's what it's like. Ooh. I feel like I have a cow in a rowboat. Like I'm trying to stay up. That's what Libra's like for me. It's like it's too wishy-washy. But it's okay. I'm okay. I'm getting better at it every year.
But that's good. You only have a couple more decades to go with that. So, yeah, I mean, it's funny because as an air sign, it has been. I feel like things have been getting back into play for me, more solid. So, it's been interesting. I mean, Libra season so far for me, it feels like it does feel balanced for me. I would say so, probably because I'm an air sign already.
Well,
not to poop on your parade here.
It's trying to restore balance. I mean, a lot of the, honestly, to be honest, I think a lot of it has to do with justice to myself from myself, where I've been unjust to myself. That's what I've really opened up this year and seeing how unfair I've been to myself and things like that. And, so that's where I've come down to. But I feel better. I mean, I feel like I'm on a good path. But, Libra is a little shaky, till the final end. So you just got to stay centered on yourself. And that's what it's all about, your relationship to yourself.
Well, what places you feel like you've been unfair to yourself in?
I have, made my heart wait for a lot of things for my ambition, for one, where in the end, it's like, it didn't really get me far. I mean, it's one of those things you realize it didn't take you far for all what you sacrificed. So I've been unfair there. I'm quite often unfair when I need to go. I'll stay in a conversation or stay with someone longer for them, just to be, part of that's my ambition too, just to be a good person, all that stuff too. So, so anyways, it's not even it's a my fault thing completely. It's just you have to be more mindful of your heart moment to moment. And that's what I'm focusing on is listening to my heart moment to moment, which is, I can feel right away if something's going to bum me out. So I don't do it.
Of course.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, if we don't listen to our hearts, like our soul's like, I don't care. I'll bang your body around. I'll put you through that car accident. I'll put you through that illness. Like it'll bang your body around to like you wake yourself up and realize, I'm not loving myself. I need to like take some time and learn how to focus on myself. So I see a lot of people who resist that, and then something major happens to force them to learn it and to get in that mode. So yeah.
Well, I'll just say what's confusing here because I think I might as well share my pain, but it's like I have been focused on myself. The problem is I think when you try to do your best at anything, you're very focused on yourself and you don't think that you're not focusing on yourself. That's where the illusion kind of is. But you're focused on only like for me, the performer in myself, the athlete in myself, the businessman in myself, but not always the other places myself. So it's eluding. Also, I think a lot of times strength, trying to be strong, turns out to really just holding on to the past too much. And I've learned that too. I thought I was being strong, but I was holding on to the past. So,
I know that syndrome too. Like when you just like want to get everything done and do it right and overly ambitious, then we end up, like you said, being so self-contained that we're actually depriving ourselves of other people's love, other people's attention, other people's support, because then I'm an A personality type like that too. I'm like, that's to be the way I want it to be. It's got to be like so perfect. And then we get so wrapped up in that we miss out on the good things of life too. So I hear you in that part.
Yeah.
That's just, like you said, only when you're ambitious to a fault,
Well, I also think we have to go with more of yes, you're right. And I think I have to go with more of my intuition and less of my mind because it's like my gut will be like, no one's going to even watch that. No one's going to care. And my mind's like, no, we got to score that score. And I'm just going to go with what my gut tells me and see if it works because I feel like we're all being led to a gentle place every step. If we just listen, sort of like a Jedi with hands behind their back, you just kind of, tune into the force and go with it. So that's my strategy going forward. Yep.
That's just strategy over here.
Yeah. But overall, what's happening is we're going through major relationship changes because people are finally getting on the side of themselves. I mean, that's really what it is. This year, you get on the side of on yourself. Why? Lots of reasons. Chiron high up in Aries has healed our ego a lot. Saturn's gone all the way through Pisces, so we know all of our karma now. We face all our shadow. Neptune's gone through there too, so we awakened up spiritually as much as we're going to, and now it's up to the person to do it. So all these things make for like a different Libra year this year. This year, we've all graduated many, many things, and we've been all treating ourselves the old way, of course, which is usually to punish in order to push ourselves to do things. And so everyone, the whole planet, is going through a change in their relationship to themselves, which I call me-ridge. But that means every relationship is about to change, I think, in Scorpio. That's what I'm leading to.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, and I think people should understand it's not just relationships with people, like relationship to things, because my relationship with like my work is changing because I was so focused on like grounding things, like grounding spirituality, and that was its time. Now I'm merging back to the phase of I'm going back into woo-woo spirituality again. So, and kind of finding the balance of where I was left with that before. So I find myself wanting to like integrate more and deeper into mediumship and getting deeper into the spiritual domains now for myself. Because and also for my clients, because I don't know, whatever period I went through is like I gotta ground it, we gotta ground it. So I'll still have that, but it's time to go woo-woo again. I think we're raising consciousness now to where we can fully be embracing of that.
Exploring it. I think the ceilings are opening up, and I just want to say I told you so. That's what I said when I first met you. I was kidding.
What did you say?
But I was like, I was encouraging you to kind of like just go ahead and go on the ledge, as far as how far you went out. And you did have this grounding thing, but I think we were shaking off karma. So it's like when you're shaking off karma, what feels right is actually correcting the karma, not necessarily the best thing for you now. And so I think for a lot of us, we've been correcting our karma, fine, but is it the best thing? Will we do that now without the karma? No, we would not. So I think
it's my Aquarius being extreme because like before that was so woo, so high, So I was like, so I went down to ground. Now I'm just finding the balance of doing both and find new ways to do my work and because that was so out there, in La La Land and higher dimensionality and 6D and 5D and all that stuff. So that people are just like, where is he?
So, yeah. I started off very conservative. I was afraid to use the word God on YouTube when I went on in 2006. I mean, people were just kind of, you could feel them kind of like shudder, just where we were with like religious damage. And now, so I was very conservative. I slowly, it's God, universe, and this Mother God, Father God, like just me getting closer and closer to the truth. Now it's at a point where it's like, I'm with you. Like, let's jump.
Yeah.
Let's do this. Right? Let's see where this thing goes. Like, I'm ready to, ride the spiritual roller coaster.
Hell yeah.
And so, the topic of tonight's show, actually, since we've been talking about this, and we both so illustrated so well, as he finds balance between his extreme and non-extreme, and I find balance between my idiot and my good. We're also finding justice around the world. In fact, we have some headlines that we thought we'd throw by us and kind of see what our intuitive psychic. This is a psychic read, guy, by the way, guys. That's what we do with these headlines. We're getting a psychic read. So maybe we have the first headline, please. I feel like it's an Oscar award.
Right. Pop it up on that screen there.
Okay. I guess he's typing it live. Okay. All right. So Hamas has released all 20 remaining living Israeli hostages detained in Gaza since October 7th, 2023 attack.
Yep.
Wow.
That's a long time. That was very emotional too, to see them like reunite their families. And you can only imagine, first what they went through, but then also the release of, oh my gosh, I'm out and seeing your family and the families. That was very touching for me, and also angered me because I'm like, they didn't deserve that. These people were political pawns, basically. They didn't deserve that, but it was just a nice release to see them reuniting. That was very, very touching for me to see that.
Yeah, I'm glad that's the pressure's releasing. I mean, spiritually, psychically, it feels like, politics. In the sense of that, I'm upset that both sides. No human should be hurting anymore for more. Come on,
I agree.
Guys.
I agree.
I mean, that's where I just have to be honest. Like, we are so more intelligent than this, and I don't believe, it's necessary. And I just don't. I think we're smarter than this. That's all I have to say. We are smarter than this. Right. And you know what? If you can't figure it out, then fucking buy some AI technology, okay? Let it figure it out for you. Because if you can't figure out how to create, it was War Games in 1980 said the only way to win was not to play. We've known this for a long time. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That was the Whopper, the first AI system. All right.
Oh, really? That was called the Whopper. It was called the Whopper.
Whopper. Yeah, it was called the Whopper.
Mm-hmm. Oh, interesting. I have to look it up.
Yeah. Remember? Yeah. Good stuff.
I have to look it up. But and I think too, with this is politics, and I think people are starting to recognize. I think this is what's going on with our collective too. People are starting to really get angered about the injustices right now. So people
Yes.
are coming from the heart more now.
Yes.
They're like, screw the politics, screw the politicians. Like, this ain't right, And so, so there's been a huge resurrection of that. And the realizations of then the revelation of that. So I think this Libra season will kind of kick us collectively and forward in a better trajectory, and get rid of
outrage
this
to me.
political shit.
Yeah. I mean, once you're fair to yourself, then you realize how fucking unfair that everything else is. And you're like, whoa.
Yeah.
I mean, if your scale's off with yourself, you don't have a judge. But then when you have that scale on, you can see this is not right. This is not right. And I think, the population is, tolerated for, 50 years.
Yeah.
This kind of BS since World War II. Didn't get any better. So, we're all feeling it. Humans are feeling it. And I don't know what's going to happen, but we have some intense transformational moons in Scorpio next month. I mean, transformational. The full moon is at 13 degrees Taurus, which means a revolution somewhere in the middle, like of how we produce things or what we value. And then a 28-degree new moon in Scorpio, which is basically holding space for another planet. Like, it's such a big huge Scorpio space. It's literally holding space. And by the way, we have several moons at 28, 6 more moons at 28 degrees all the way around. So we're building the new. Those are all high manifestation degrees, 6 in a row.
And I feel that also feels solidifying to me. I feel like something is going to be solidified too during that time. So like something locked in, something concrete. Perhaps maybe they locked down the Epstein files, at that time. So something seems like it's going to settle in and be very concrete and solidified too. So that's generally speaking in context of the world. And so I'm so like iffy about talking about anything political at this point. But I feel like if we want to take that more generally speaking, I feel like that month for sure, especially in Scorpio season. But with us generally too, I think it's individually. So perhaps you will solidify, Christopher, your balance of self and also how that contributes to the external. So perhaps you'll solidify that finally.
Possibly. I do want to give this a little warning because I'll be quoted on the show, and that is usually when God Universe sends a command, if you want to put that, an energetic command to create something new that's at peace. The first thing that happens is the disturbance of the existing peace. So usually whenever there's a very subtle but powerful, transit that says make peace, make things smooth out, make things equal. The first thing that happens is uproar usually.
Oh, sure, 100%.
Yeah,
100%.
Because come right away.
Because there are people subconsciously like drama and chaos. So when you're settling that might like disorient them, and then they react not wondering why, because like you got so comfortable with the chaos. So now things are leveling out. It's driving you nuts. Some people use that chaos as a crutch.
Yeah, but the actual event, like the eclipse and the moons and stuff, they bring like this. This total peace.
Sure.
And it's almost like the population being forced to peace almost freaks out after feeling the peace for the first time. And it's totally. Like overreacts to it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That people just could not familiar with that, and so I think too, like I've been writing new music, and I have a lot of like ideas moving forward that I'm engaging with myself. I actually been taking a break off social media, so kind of find that balance, too, which bring me so much more peace. Because guys, Christopher, like we beat ourselves up. So I'm like, I got to do more, and I said, no, I'm doing less, and I feel better, and more has been happening. So isn't that the paradox, right? Isn't that the paradox?
That is the paradox, brother. I wish it was my paradox. Our next article, Luigi Maggioni. Luigi Maggioni. Sorry, we try this so much for. Lawyers are seeking dismissal of the death penalty charges in a I don't know, it's like relative. Is that basically dismissal of the death penalty?
He's the guy that killed that healthcare CEO guy, remember? And there was like he was so cute and all that stuff, and so he got more attention because he was like attractive. And I don't know if he had like pictures out there. I don't know, but I mean, they're seeking. I mean, so this is the thing. We can talk about this philosophically about whether or not the death penalty should be something we have in our judicial system. Is that really justice, an eye for an eye? And I kind of feel like no. I mean, they're going to find their karma either way, but why not let them be awake and living in this reality to experience that karma? And so I'm, for one, not really for that, because I feel like, they don't really get to reflect on it in the moment they've created that, committed that crime, right? So I want them, like they committed the crime, they're still conscious in this physical life to endure their punishment, right? And their consequence. So I'm not one for the death, the death penalty in that sense. But
they're thinking they get him off. They want him to get him off, which is
I think he might just be on death row for a while, but I don't necessarily think that he'll get the death penalty, even if they award it.
even if you get sentenced, you're not going to die. You're going to be on death row forever. Like, it doesn't, it's a weird thing. It's just a terrible thing. I feel, this is where proof of heaven has to come in this lifetime. It has to come this lifetime. We have to be shown. Everyone has to be shown what you and I know and feel. I don't expect anyone to believe me ever. You have to have your own experiences to believe in the whole afterlife and everything. You have to have your own. There's no way you just can take it from another person. You shouldn't, honestly. But once I have, it's been so literal. I'm like, oh my God, the crazy stuff we do. It's like, honestly, from what I understand, you're letting him off. Like, basically, he's going to go to heaven where things will be heaven. There is no punishment in heaven. So he's going to be scot-free. He's going to be looking down and go, phew, so glad I was in that jail. That would have sucked.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, I mean, he'll be forced. I kind of have a belief that when you do something like that, there's a unresolved karma to that degree that I believe you're forced back into reincarnation. So who knows, what that life would be. So yeah, I believe people like that, they're forced back into reincarnation, don't really have a choice until they fulfill that karmic debt.
I agree 100%.
Unless like spirit aligned for that to happen to fulfill someone else's karma, and they complete the karmic cycle by doing that, then they get to move on and choose their incarnation. So it's weird, like if you think of it that way.
Yeah, I think from what I understand, he'll most likely be, the father of like a child that gets killed next time. Like he'll have to experience like the loss of the parents. I mean, there's more point of views than just the actual victim. The victims. There's lots of victims, so he probably will be a parent of a child that gets. And that's to still see what it feels like to have your child ripped away from you,
Yeah.
Anyways, okay. On to happy note, the Pentagon confiscates virtually every major media organization's press passes. Most major U.S. media outlets refuse to sign on to a new media policy aimed at preventing leaks, restricting movement. I'm trying to read here my thing here. And also requiring escorts inside the Pentagon. So I guess all the news staff has got like some White House intern next to them, walking around the White House grounds. I guess that would be the escort.
So basically, just controlling the information more. Is that the attempt here, to control information more?
Apparently, I mean, there are things that from what I understand, the White House, news staff, they will learn things and they'll keep it a secret for preservation of our country's safety. Right. So I think it's been a while now where they'll say stuff to the press, like, you can't say this to the public yet, but that is happening. So they have kind of a lead on understanding it and following the story, whatever. And apparently, that sort of, trust barrier isn't being honored anymore, for obvious reasons.
Or they just don't like the fact that there's too much getting out there, and they're trying to control what actually is getting out there to the public. So it could be that too, a way to dictate and manage that. Right. Because you know what I mean?
I promise. If you're going to keep it quiet, you're supposed to keep it quiet. And of course, it's always leaked. It's leaked to the press. So it's like, the person who sent it.
What I'm saying to you is, do you think it's just that, or do you think it's just the fact they want to control what gets out there because the press hasn't been so good, I would say, positive on this administration?
I think it's both. I think the press, don't like him, and they have leaked stuff out to piss him off. And I think he also is overstepping to calm it down. I think they're both wrong. I think
that's exactly what I feel. It's like all that, all the above in that sense, But then that's also scary to think about. Again, we're getting kind of pieces of the news, pieces of what's really happening too at the same point. So, thankfully, there's a lot of independent journalists that are going out there with their cameras and going to these events and reporting on it. So we see actually real people's perspective. Because I think justice for us is when we have the right, when we're not getting the right information about what's really happening. That's an injustice toward us. That we should want to seek justice on, that we're not having these info wars, so to speak. You know what I mean? It's not fair for just getting misled. And what is it? We're working, living our lives. We're supposed to keep on to every little detail. It's not fair to us that we're being, dissuaded in certain ways.
Oh my God, dude! This is a whole episode.
Yeah.
What's interesting is it's like every major media organization. I wonder if they just don't trust the old media anymore. It's like, okay, they're just. It's almost like I don't blame them. I don't trust the old Congress. I'd like to start over with the new Congress. I'd like to serve with new press. I'd like to serve with all those positions, frankly.
Perhaps.
Brand new. Right. Just here. And so we can watch them corrupt this time.
Yeah. But look what social media has done to it. It's like one person says one thing, that shit can go everywhere at once. When back in the day, you fucked up on the news, no one's really said anything. No one replayed it. No one was recording it then. So yeah, everything is recorded. Everything is printed somewhere digitally in this digital space. So you say one thing, that's going all over the place. So I think that petrifies a lot of people too. In those
social media. finds their algorithms find that sensationalized thing and put it to the top too. They've got like
Yep.
accelerant fire on that stuff.
Yeah, they do.
Fire. It's all algo like overridden, and it's just like, boy. All right. So aren't we grumpy old men tonight? In Ukraine, the first war crime trial of a Russian serviceman since the invasion, resulted in life sentences for the young sergeant. Well, he must have done not much. I mean, from what I understand, tribunals and stuff, man, war crime means like that was inhumane, and he got a life sentence. I guess perhaps he wasn't so extreme. I don't know. But anyways, again, I don't know. There's a lot of things today. I don't know if it's good to punish people. I think we do more harm when we punish. I'm not saying let people get scot free, but I'm just saying like the whole punishment thing. The fact that people are in isolation and in solitary confinement, that's just sick and cruel. That we do stuff like that. And I think it just builds resentment and just bounces right back to us, and we get this endless game. Endless game.
Yeah, I think it depends on which state of consciousness the person's in and at, because some may not know and realize any type of boundaries until in solitary confinement. It really depends on the mental health or mental illness that they have. But I agree in a sense of like just locking someone away. There's many people who've done stupid crimes or like even higher crimes that could be served better if they had some sort of rehabilitation in prison. You know what I mean? Like,
oh no, of course.
That's very costly too. But I'm just saying that would also help on the crime in the long run, because these people are rehabilitating. They're doing something productive. They help others do the same, right? They're just thrown in. They just come out. My brother has been in prison since he was 18, and he's still in there now. He had two 30-year sentences for 21 felonies, right? So we're complete opposite. And he hasn't changed. He went out, goes right back in, and still has that mindset because they're not forced to change in there.
Yeah, and they don't know anything else. They're terrified. And I'm not saying, by the way, for the record, I can see this blowing up in my face. I'm not saying people get away with anything and they don't have to pay back their debt. I'm not saying that. But I am saying that we are cruel, unusual. We're unusually cruel. And that's just, we're cruel to cruel people, which just makes them be more cruel, right?
Yeah, and I'll co-sign that in a way of saying, like, I agree, because instead we're like, yeah, get them, instead of saying, well, let's help them to rehabilitate. Let's help them to understand what they did and to shift perspective on things. Let's help with that and be productive with the consequences. But yeah, some people are like, yeah, get them, let them suffer. They have that energy. And that's what I think you're really talking about. It's not productive. It's not really changing the cycle, because we become the same thing. Yeah, let them suffer like they suffered. It's like, okay, same energy, And so, yeah, I agree with you on that part, in that context.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I don't know. And perhaps when a criminal gets something, we should go back to like his elementary school and find them, and like the whole 9 yards of the country that actually set it up for that in the first place, and was really a co-conspirator to that person's crime. Because quite often it was a lack of investment, it was a lack of simple basic needs in a home, like mother being beaten or something like that in front of all these horrible things that because of money and because of our greed. So. I think one day, real justice might be that the United States has to pay for that twice, kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Because overall, it was our responsibility to begin with. Why are we in schools and all this if this is going to be the way it is? But yeah, I think, this is what's boiling up. I think there's a new American re-evolution that's going to happen. I really do. And I don't know if it has to do with Trump. I don't feel like it does. I feel like he's not around when it happens. I can feel that intuitively, honestly. Not that he's, God bless, not anything wrong with that, but I'm just saying I don't feel him around. So I feel like this Trump administration is us like getting very disgruntled, period, of every president I can name down through all of history. If I've been unhappy, and everyone has, it has been since Lincoln that we had somebody good. You know what I mean? So anyways, I feel like we're building up to that right now. And Pluto, Pluto 4 degrees Aquarius is when America had won the revolution.
Yeah, I think that's the whole point of the Trump era, is for that. Love him or hate him, like the whole purpose of this is to rile people up, right? To expose what needs to be exposed. And so, and at some point, once we're festering, we're kind of like seeing things somewhat similarly to a degree, then we start kind of coming together, and then there's the revolution for me. So I think this administration is pushing things so far out as it needs to be collectively, karmically, so we can evolve, actually. So, so I could say to myself, well, physically, my physical life, I don't support this administration, but spiritually, I support it because I understand we need it. Otherwise, without this dark, we're not going to evolve and have our true awakening. And so I celebrate anything that's going to promote that. And I start seeing a lot of people in the collective awakening, not the woke, stuff we're talking about, but awakening to see things the way they are, and that we need to start to pick up more, becoming, like we were saying before, upset over the injustices. More than I've ever seen before.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Thank God for AI, or we wouldn't be able to fill out a petition. All right, and our final story. Thank God we got an AI in the last minute. Massive explosion at Tennessee military explosives manufacturing plant completely destroys the building. No survivors. That's a shock, right? Because of explosion is still under the cause of the explosion is still under investigation. Will, how about it was a warehouse full of massive explosives? I mean, geez. I mean,
What can go
oh God,
wrong?
God. Through history, this just has happened so many times too, and it's hard to.
I mean, it would have been like God's comedy if it got destroyed by like a tornado instead, not a fire. But like that's sad to me because it's like people working there, like I they said 16. I think we researched them. Said 16 passed, but then when they first reported said like more, like almost 100 passed. So I don't know what the true count is, but that's a lot of people kind of going out with a bang, so to speak. That's horrible because it's so random. So when I look at this random things like that, I'm like, obviously there's a fiery energy going on in our collective, and I always look at that as a spiritual symbol, like what's really going in the world, what's shaking the world up. And so I just think there's been a lot of that fire, but both the fire of intensity of hate and also for justice. So weird things like this happen, but then it makes me question, what those who are aligned in that position had karmically that it was their time to go out with an explosion, so I try to tend to look at things that way.
All kinds of arrangements made. I think it's like booking a flight. It's like, and to get out of the matrix, what do you want? We've got an explosion here in Tennessee. We got this over here.
They'll come in, and go out.
Not gonna hurt. Not gonna hurt. I really do feel. You come out of me, you're like, oh man, I get kicked out of the game. It's like I don't feel it's anything like we think it is. But anyways,
no, I agree.
But this is part of 3D reality. It's time for a commercial break. Before we get into our topic tonight, let's hear from our sponsors.
This Scorpio season, embark on a journey of self-discovery. Create your soul manifesto. Unveil your purpose. Live your truth. Welcome to 40 Days of My Truth and Purpose. Enrolling now, only at Sirius Joy Academy.
That commercial gets me every time. And I do have to say, and just follow up with that, the Truth and Purpose is a 40-day program where I have aligned up the astrology lessons to be precise for the day's energy. And the thing about Scorpio is you can't lie to yourself in Scorpio. You cannot lie to yourself. You just know the truth. You know when you're lying. And so it was a perfect time. So we use all the Scorpio transit to come with our truth, to determine what our truth is, and using your chart to present to you different sides of yourself that you might be confused over. And then the biggest question I get in every reading, what's my purpose? And everyone who's taken this class has told me they've walked away with their purpose clear, and they've understood their life like they never had before, past lives and everything. So it's 40 days. And it is available at SiriusJoy.academy right now. So it starts 0 Scorpio.
Fantasticals. That's great. Yeah, it's cool. The commercial looks very like it's a quest, so it's a quest for your purpose. So yeah, it's very intriguing, that commercial. It's good.
And a good time for people to get to know themselves. The world's going to be a little crazy right now. So yeah, get to know yourself a little better.
Well, speaking of, let's give us a little, we do the report, right? We did the report. No, we're doing the report now, right? Are we doing the Zodiac weather? I was just making sure.
We're going to talk about the astrology. Well, overall, I mean, we've got a lot of stuff happening. We've got Venus is now into Libra, so we're going to have some stabilization now. Things get less crazy when Mama's home. We also have Pluto stationing direct as of today, so yesterday actually. So Pluto's direct. That means that really you're going to find you have a lot more strength for boundaries. Like you're weaker when Pluto's retrograde. You have a hard time holding up those boundaries, saying no, doing the right thing. Pluto direct, you just all of a sudden get this like kind of like stiffen, your back stiffens up and you just all have the energy to say no. So just try it. It's going to work. And then we also have some things like coming up on Friday, October 17th. The sun is going to square is going to the sun. Excuse me. The sun in Libra is going to actually square Jupiter in Cancer, and what this means is that we're going to be at a point where we finally understand. We think the big picture of how to care for ourselves. That may seem simple, but that's huge because we haven't known our entire lifetime. But the biggest thing is, really we're talking about is the new moon in Libra at step 28. This is the first of 6 step 28 new moons, which is holding space for. That's what a new moon at 28 is you're committing to a feeling, you're kind of creating a bubble, and you're just waiting for it to be filled by people and what their visions are. So we have 6 of these, which is basically half the year, which is really all 12 signs because the signs are really polarities. And this will be us holding space for the future of humanity and our relationship to each other. So the big picture of society, I think, being planted there. And then Neptune's going to re-enter Pisces, and that's going to get really silly on October 22nd. So things just get kind of like blurrier and blurrier. And what we're going to do is we'll be going back to some of the issues we had. We went blazing into Aries with Saturn and Neptune. We went blazing into Gemini with Uranus. Now Uranus goes back into Taurus for one last view, and also Saturn and Neptune go back into Pisces for one last view. So it's a last take.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting because I really feel many people will feel like they're kind of like you were saying before. I can concur, feeling beside yourself and kind of looking like this older version, newer version, and a potential version. So there might be a different version that you're looking at, saying, okay, do I go with the older version? Do I blend in with the current version? And what's this new potential version? So this beside yourself energy is necessary to say, what can you take from the past? What can you bring from the present and merge in with the future? So then we can understand how we are in totality based on our past experiences, where we're at, where we're going. So that might feel fragmented. It might feel blurry, might feel like you're kind of phasing in and out of reality. But I think when we're selecting wisely, and so as I was saying before, like next month in Scorpio season is more about solidifying. This is preparing us to solidify that purpose, because once we have been participating and moving forward with our heart's desires, but now we're intellectually become more astute to what that means in the mind, but also in the heart. Then when Scorpio season comes around, we're able to solidify that purpose. And solidifying to me means that you're owning it. If you want to put it in layman's terms, you're owning your purpose. You're actually not being resentful about, why it didn't happen before. You're not reserving yourself to say, I have to kind of hold this back because it might make other people uncomfortable. You're actually solidifying that purpose, coming to Scorpio season. So understand your selections are happening right now about your past, previous, and future versions. Get that in gear now. And so this way, otherwise it's not going to be a blur. It'll be more of a refinement, because when you're ready to walk into Scorpio season and then solidify your purpose, you're owning it.
Mm-hmm. And Scorpio will have you own it too. I mean, disagree with the Scorpio and see what that feels like. The energy of Scorpio is like the only sign packing a weapon, which is the stinger, and which is the god.
I get along with Scorpios. We're both.
I do
both
too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, they're my opposite, so they're the sign that keeps me in check. But I'm also the sign that keeps writing them checks. So I don't know what's going on wrong here. But that said, what was that? I don't know what that was.
Own your pickle prints. It's no big deal. That's right. Those pickle prints.
I love Scorps. But here's the thing. We all have the power to draw lines, and that's what's going to happen in Scorpio. We're going to draw the lines. We've been sort of sitting on the fence with lots of things all year long. And I think Scorpio is going to be a little bit of I don't want to say a harsh time. I mean, just kind of harsh. The truth will hurt in some cases. But if you didn't see it coming, then there's your wake-up call right there. I think it has been coming since Pisces. So,
yeah.
We each have moments where we're just like, humiliated because we didn't see it.
Right. Because if you're not doing that work to solidify that purpose by Scorpio season, it's going to hit you in the face. It's like, all right, not listening. Here it is, ground you in until people like how that I get it now moment, So yeah, I'm hoping that more people are kind of in the trajectory of understanding that and locking it in and not having it to be a harsh reality. I think a lot of us who are here spiritually are probably going to be moving on to the alignment and grounding, especially with your chorus helping with that. I think a lot of people will be more in the grounding sense, not so much of the harsh truth reality sense. So those might be the people watching The Housewives, actually. So.
My theory is people will probably not be grounded too long, just because, not that I disagree with you, but because I think in Sagittarius, a lot of people are going to say, I wasn't born for this. I was born for this. I think people are going to change their belief, which will then bring excitement. Oh, totally. And probably a disconnect from, from the media and things like that. People are going to be on their own, like maybe even escaping from a new belief.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean by solidifying. Not so much
Okay.
grounding. Grounding for maybe the people who are pushed to the ground is what I meant, who aren't learning the lesson, hitting the pavement type of thing. But those who are
Mm-hmm.
doing the work, no, yeah, it'd be solidifying because yeah, you're right. Someone might say, "This isn't my purpose," but I've been realizing this has been my purpose all along, and they solidify that. They finally grab onto it. Is what I mean by the solidification. So
Gotcha.
I'm glad you
Gotcha.
said that. 'Cause, yeah, glad you said that because I'm sure someone might interpret it as grounding. Like, no, those might be pushed to the ground if you're resisting that aspect, and like you said before, having a harsh wake up call, so to speak.
Yeah, it's really like center. You're saying like centering is like solidifying is centering, like coming to your center and understanding your
Yeah.
truth, which is what Truth First is about. I think we will
Yep.
see truth, a lot of truth here, and nothing but the truth in Scorpio. So
I
let's
saw
get on
this.
to our topic of the day. What is this? The week, and that's called the currency of justice. That's right, the currency of justice. And this is some factoids that our team has put together. Basically, what is the state of justice really in this world? And actually, I think we should ask, what is justice? What is justice? Is it an eye for an eye, brother? Let me ask you that big philosophical question. Is justice an eye for an eye?
I mean, some might define it to be that. Justice for me is just kind of fair. It's just being fair. I mean, think even the scales of justice as balance, right? It's
Mm.
fair. So, there's so many ways we could express that. Do I think things are fair right now in our society? No, I don't. And so, and I think they haven't been for quite some time. And so, I think we're starting to redefine what justice really means for a collective purpose. I think a lot of people talk about justice, but then they don't really care about what's just or not until it affects them.
Mm.
But I think more and more people saying it ain't just for them, that ain't just for me either. So that's be as a whole. So I think with the age of Aquarius, we're starting to recognize we are demanding justice for everyone.
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
we're not quite there yet. But I think it's a fairness.
Mm. Yeah, I feel it certainly is. At the end of the day, it should be equal. Like as far as the cost, maybe the suffering, maybe everything should be at the end of the day equal. You have to repay your debt. I mean, debt is the idea that you've taken more than you deserve, right? Or borrowed more than you deserve, and you got to pay that back. So I do think there's, in that sense, equality. Restoring peace and equality is necessary, and we're far from equality. I will say this though: as bad as the world is, this is the best it's ever been. You guys, you study the
Mhm.
history.
True.
My God, I mean,
It's
we're
true.
really quick to complain, but it's like, come back during. I mean, geez, what we did to American Indians. We really have not
I know.
been civil as a world at all. And at
Right.
least we now have a court system that's, catching some of the people and telling them it's wrong. But right
Yeah.
now they say 1.5 billion people cannot obtain justice for civil, administrative, or criminal justice problems. And I'm not sure why that is. I guess they just don't have access as part of it, or don't understand, or they're not literate. 4.5 billion are excluded from opportunities the law provides. They lack legal tools, including identity documents or land or housing documents or formal work arrangements that allow for legal protection. So a lot of people aren't even legally protected, which is, as we
Right.
know, pretty scary. But I have to
Mm.
say, when you're from the country that I'm from, this country, and I don't feel legally protected either. You know what I mean? As well as you know, I'm not making
I
fun.
agree.
I'm saying I think we all have an issue with this. It is a little scary. 253 million people who live in extreme conditions of injustice, including people who are stateless, victims of modern day slavery, and people who live in fragile states with high levels of insecurity. Uh, yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's
I mean, right now they're criminalizing homeless people. It's like, well, if someone's homeless, what the hell are they supposed to do? Like, don't stay here. It's like so we're almost criminalizing the fact that people who don't have protection, don't have support, who are marginalized. We criminalize them now, is what's happening. And so I don't think that's just because that's not helpful for all of us. If part of our species is crying in need, we don't feel better and get better just because of that. That imbalance. So I think that again, how do we bring more justice? And we have to just also understand that justice means it's for all, and so we start looking more collectively on that as a species, or as at least start with a country, because the country's so divided. Then we'll never have justice for ourselves. At some point, you might feel like justice is for you, but at some point that wheel's going to turn, and boom, you're going to hit with something that's maybe you feel is unjust. Because at some point in this wheel of politics, someone's going to have to suffer. And to me, the political system is not just at all.
no, but I know who's going to suffer. Rockefellers. Rockefellers are going to suffer because here's the deal. I'll tell you, if we didn't have to pay interest to a World Bank on the money we borrowed, if we didn't pay interest on that, everyone would have a home. everyone would have a home. Why are we paying credit card interest to a foreign entity that is not, that it has fingers in every single country? Like we're
Right.
not exclusive. It's not our World Bank. So I just think we look at like where we're paying money and where money's going out. It's like, wait a second, why are we putting our country on a credit card? Seriously, but that would
And the
the
fact that
homeless right there.
and our money, the money, our tax dollars is funding all of this, right? And so we have to pay to work. So we have to surrender our money for an income tax. What we make, what we bust our ass for what? A government that, the middle class is not helped by the government. We don't get social aid rarely. We're always making too much and we're not poor enough and not rich enough to thrive. So the middle class gets screwed all the time with this system that we're in now. And so, yeah, I mean, it does start with our country first, starts with our society, our community first, for sure, until we can level that out. And then we have to start extending out outside the other countries. So I don't know. People say America's the best country. I'm like, there's a lot of great countries. I don't think no one is the best. I mean, I think there's wonderful things about America for opportunity, but things are slightly changing, in a way. It's like
America holds the
we're
promise.
having issues with healthcare
It
still.
holds the promise to be the best country in the world, best as in most innovative, things like that, not better than really,
And more
really better,
free.
more free, all these things. It holds a promise. But here's the thing, that freedom has come with a cost. People have taken advantage of those freedoms. And I'm not saying we take
That's
them away.
exactly
I'm not
right.
saying we take away the freedoms. No. We've got to mature and we're going to be able to handle that.
We
People have
do.
to be free and not cheat. I mean, and take
I
advantage.
agree.
So,
I agree.
and I'm talking about lobbyists and, don't think I'm talking about homeless right now. I'm talking about lobbyists in Congress when I'm talking about taking it.
Right. Yeah, not just the people on welfare take care of the system. There's people that are actually taking care of corporations taking advantage of the system as well. That's harming people below who are not so fortunate.
Yeah, they say, honestly, people say, well, if you just, if you start paying for a general income, which I don't think we should do, by the way, but give a general income, then people just become lazy and do nothing. Well, I don't think that's going to be the case. I don't think we should do general income. I think we should just have like food is free. You just go to the store, eat what you want. It's like, if you're not going to eat all that in your hands, then put it down. You can't take that right now. You don't need that much right now. You just need this. I think we can provide things like that where it's just given, and not free salaries, not big checks out of nowhere, but just like, yeah, you'll never have to worry about staying alive. Just that covered.
I do feel there will be a period of universal basic income simply because I think with the rise of technology, there will be not a sub-society, but a different part of our society, that won't have any jobs because of AI has taken over. So to smooth that out, I feel like they'll do a universal basic income for that reason. And then once we can acclimate for jobs that are now taken by AI, then I think that, of course, that'll dwindle. So I've always felt they were going to implement that at that point. Temporarily, because there will be, I think 30% of I think maybe higher than that. I think it was maybe 40% of jobs can be replaced by AI or will be replaced by AI. 40%. I mean, that's
we're gonna all be like,
or it might have been
robes
maybe
and
60%.
reciting poetry.
But
Yeah.
so that's a lot. And so imagine how are we going to like smooth that out when that happens. And so the only way that they're going to smooth that is through universal basic income. So I always felt that was coming for a temporary purpose of a merge somehow.
Well,
But I think it's with AI.
the mystery and mythology of Star Trek. What made their society go to world peace was when they found the replicator. When they designed the replicator, apparently, that's when all of Star Trek world went, crazy equal. Because now you could just go to 7-Eleven and have it replicate, right there in front of you, like the exact food you wanted. Seriously. And so once there was replicators, there was no need for money. Like I guess everything lived happily ever after. So let's work on that. This will be a final roll for this, and then we're going to go to a commercial, Scott, with you. What is justice in the age of Aquarius mean then? What is justice going to mean then?
It's what I just said. I said justice for all, right? And so, people are going through the political nonsense and, about, political people that are passing on and this political stuff. And I'm just like, I will only side with those who actually have been contributing to what's best for all. That's the age of Aquarius. Not what's best for a certain group of people or not what's best for one half of the political sphere, what's best for all. And that's the age of Aquarius that we're going to be forced to look at. And so to me, it's like what I said before, to be redundant, or to be repetitive, it looks, again, where we're also looking for justice for everybody and what's fair for everyone. And so that's humanitarianism right there. So it's not overly complex or overly mysticized.
I think justice is that God got his way. In the age of Aquarius, birds of a feather will flock together. I don't think it's very just that we have to go hang around people we don't like. And it's not that we have to be mean to them, but we don't have to necessarily get along with everybody. It's okay. I think
Right.
Aquarius is all about
Yep.
going by vibration. If it's like a nice harmony, then you go with it. And if it's not, it's
Exactly.
not. So, I think that's going to be the determiner, is that we're just going to all suddenly be okay with being different. And,
Mhm.
honestly, that may be because we overthrow the World Bank. Just saying. Scott?
Well, that's coming. No, I'm saying that's
No,
coming. I've written about that, about the breaking down those systems, and their clock is ticking.
yes, it is.
I'm letting you know that their clock is ticking. But do we really need to be concerned about how someone else chooses to live their life? Like, and I think that's the awakening part. It's like, oh, okay, well, you do you, I do me, and it all needs to be diverse in this way, and we're all good. And we can all move together as a species. So, yeah, I think this right now is we're completely not there now, but this more fragmentation, I feel like in time is going to push it forward, because let me tell you something. People are just gonna get sick and tired of it, and I think that's what the gay community has done for a while. It's just shove it in their face so they get so sick of us. They're like, leave us alone. We're just gonna oversaturate with you, so you shut the hell up and let us live our lives. And so I feel like sometimes life does that. Life's like, here's all this until you get so fed up and just move on and focus on what's important. So I think we're in that time right now of just the oversaturation of it,
Oh,
so
yeah.
we can snap out of it and focus on what's
Yeah,
important.
you just can't take it anymore. Yeah. Just don't.
Right? You're just over it. It's like, oh, whatever. You know.
Yeah. So, Scott, you've got something to tell?
Yeah. And so speaking of all that, tomorrow's my live show. I'm doing, of course, live readings as I always do every week, but also I'm talking about my story. People can tell me that they want to hear my story. I've done it before, like a year ago, but they want to hear it again. I'm going to talk about what was like being a psychic growing up as a child, but also dealing with massive trauma. And so I'll get into like what I've experienced in the supernatural, but also what I experienced in the physical, kind of being born between both worlds. Tomorrow at 6 p.m. Pacific time, 9 p.m. Eastern time on my YouTube channel, as every week, live one-on-one readings and a collective read. But if not, you could also book a one-on-one with Scott at scottcruzpm.com. Live readings, mediumship sessions, intuition builder. Check me out there if you don't want to catch me live.
All right.
I don't know if they were going to roll something
And
else.
do we
but that
have a
was that.
commercial after this?
Scott Cruz is popularly known for his life-changing one-on-one readings to also guide in your soul ascension journey. With life readings, get insight into your relationships, career, health, trauma healings, past life regressions, and more. Want to connect with a loved one who's transitioned? Scott's mediumship session can be the gateway to you and your loved ones in spirit, bridging the gap between the physical and the spiritual realm. If you want to enhance your own psychic ability, Scott's Intuition Builder session can help expand your psychic and mediumship abilities. So sign on to scottcruzpm.com to book your own personal session today.
Oh, that was weird. That was weird. So, yeah, that's what we've been playing with AI, and we're having some fun there. But some of it's a little slow. Yeah, I gotta say. So, as we wrap up, what is the currency of justice, anyways? That's our question. What is the currency? And there's a quote here: "The arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends towards justice," which Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. actually popularized. He was, in fact, adapting a quote from the 19th century abolitionist Theodore Parker, who wrote, "The arc of history is long, but it bends toward justice."
Mhm.
And it does, I'd say, overall, like we just said. I mean, actually, the Earth has never been better. Honestly, it's never been better. Honestly, I think we take things out of perspective, but we just know better. I think that's where it's, kind of cuckoo now. So the question is truth the currency of justice? Is that what will end up, paying for justice? I guess by currency.
No, I don't think truth is. I think that because that's always going to be subjective to many people, so they're going to argue about that. I just think for me, the currency for justice is just acceptance. You know, and I think people misinterpret acceptance too, but accepting the core of who people are in the good sense, and then of course being just to know when people do wrong that there's consequence. So, so acceptance, I think, is the key of that. And I was going to say love because I feel like love is over sensationalized, but love is part of understanding that. Are you really loving your neighbor? Do we have to love all the bad things? No, but sometimes by letting people be who they are is also an act of love. You're saying, do you? I don't like you, but go on. That's love too. So I think the balance of such is going to help us to understand that we can be loving by not being integrative too, just by accepting it. And I think that when people can accept other people for where they're at, then I think we can see some good progress, and that will bring natural justice. Because then we'll fight for the people that we don't agree, because they didn't deserve it. We'd fight for them to make sure they have justice as well in life. So yeah, my route would be acceptance.
Mine is
Let me clarify too, because I'm hearing stupid people saying, accept murderers. No, you don't accept bad behavior. We learned that in 5th grade. Again, with those, that's where justice, real true physical justice comes in, just consequences for things. I'm talking on the basis of people who don't do bad things into people. Okay, to be very adolescent about it, because I know some people are thinking that right now. It's like, no, we're talking about the core of people who actually are functioning in society.
your psychic level, like your psychic's like, you're like picking up all the people at home yelling at the TV.
I always can hear someone saying something. I'm saying something, and I have to stop. And so that's why I used to be bad when we first started the show. I used to like all the time, and I'm just like, oh, certain things.
Okay, so
Not all fit that I hear
know
people
it's-
saying.
I do too. I usually will correct it and try to charm. So I think self-love is the currency of justice. I think that the problem is that we were told we were not lovable. We were treated like we were not lovable, and it's up to us to love ourselves. And once we love ourselves, we have complete power over everything that happens to us. I really believe.
Mhm.
And I think that when you love yourself
Yeah.
and you see someone not loving themselves, you'll want to reach out to them and want them to love themselves because it's so good. It feels so good. There's nothing wrong with it. So I think you're right when I said love. Love, it's hard to say. It's hard to fill your heart with love and then go hit somebody. You can't fill your heart with love and then insult somebody. You just can't. Like, try it. You really can't. But now, those people who do those things are way shut down from self-love. And this is spiral of, we've been in since the beginning. So I think, we must love ourselves. And that sounds, I know it sounds ass backwards, but it's one thing we haven't tried. So we might as well.
But also, I have to say to you, Christopher, too, because when you love yourself, you stand up for yourself. I think people just think love means just some weekend, everything's great state. No, because I've been putting a lot of that respect back into myself too. I just been like calling people out for just like spinning what I'm saying or doing. I'm like, because I'm setting up for love too. So love also means you stand for justice for yourself. You're not letting someone contaminate your energy or your voice either. And that's going to be part of this process too. In time, we'll have better finesse about it. But I think we all got to purge that out. Like, no, I'm standing up for what I said. No, you're not going to do that or say whatever you want to twist my words. So I think that people are going to learn that too. There's going to be a lot of that passion and fiery energy with that. So yeah, self-love also means you're standing up for yourself. You're not talking the bullshit, or you're standing up for somebody else.
No, for me, for myself.
Because of bad
I've always
behavior.
been the nice guy, let it roll off my back. Now I can't do that. Now I can't. I'm sorry. Like at the point where it's like, and I'm just astounded that people would take advantage of that. That just astounds me. I don't know why.
Well, and they'll say, well, you're spiritual. You're supposed to like take the high road. It's like, no, we're supposed to correct things that we see that are incorrect. That's what being a spiritual leader is. And leading out loud. You stand up to correct poor behavior. You stand up to correct behavior of that's discriminatory, right? You don't just say, oh, just let it go. You correct it. And so, yeah, people take advantage of that, Christopher, and they say the moment you feel guilty, you shouldn't talk like that. You're a leader. You're spiritual. I said, well, then you shouldn't be correcting me if you're spiritual. So, So no, I think a lot of people are going to be very offended. Like I said before, it's going to ruffle a lot of feathers, but good.
Besides, I was the only one being nice anyway. So that's it. That was the end of it, buddy. Like, sorry. I was the last one holding out for you fuckers, and I'm not there anymore. No, it's a matter of, and also to me, it's like I realized if I don't stick it for myself, that person goes on and hurts the other person. And it's like, oh man, like I have to. I mean, that to me is still a huge drive. For me, it's still, I'm learning for me to be enough, for me to be enough. But I feel like that's all coming to an end anyways. I think that we're all coming, whatever that is that we've all had. And I'm a Gen Xer, so I've Chiron and Aries. So we were born feeling like we screwed something up really badly, Gen X. And so I think we're finally forgiving ourselves for that, which is huge, So that self-forgiveness is important too.
It is.
Yeah.
But we're also too because I always say the goal is to be objective and unaffected. But yeah, Iggy was making a joke of because he knows that's the opposite of my phrase. People are too subjective and affected. And when you understand that, when you're like the self-love that you're mentioning, that you're just kind of this, when you're in true self-love, it just extends outwardly, right? We always say that you can't help to share it, or you can't help to be empathetic. So, when you're being too overly subjective, that you're still depriving of something. And self-love, you're also allowing yourself to feed it. So if you're depriving yourself of love from other people, receive it. All right. If you're depriving yourself of creativity, express it. And then you'll understand their true self-love wouldn't keep you in subjective. You'll be very objective because you'd want the same. As you know, Christopher, you want to share that goodness when you reach it, when you find it, and you realize it's limitless. Like I just want to share that. I have to share it. It's just that excitement.
No, it's infectious, like a cute baby. When you have love pouring out of you, you can't help but share. Babies are that way too. I think infants start out just absolutely perfect and beautiful, and and then every day is a harder day for them. I feel like it's going to come to a head in our lifetime. I can feel it's going to come to a head.
Mhm.
And I don't feel it's going to come to a head the way people think it's going to come to. We've been driven to like do this into violence and whatnot, but I think there's going to be a point where we sit down and we go, well, first of all, here's what it'll be. I think we're going to find that many people have wronged our country, have wronged the people of the world, have been really bad. Okay, really, really bad players, right? And that man's death, who was the CEO of that medical, company we're talking about, medical, to some degree, a lot of people said, well, good, because he didn't approve my cancer treatment, and da 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 da.
Mhm.
And it's like, yeah, see, it's like, but when the people go down, when it really goes down, let's say one of these bad people ends up being shown, right now, I mean, even like if we find out that, of course, who's the FBI director that's now being prosecuted, right? So if we find out that something really wrong was done, how much are we going to punish? Like, at what point do we end it? And it may take Gen X, honestly. I mean, I think if anything, Gen X has Pluto and Libra. I think we at Gen X know, hey, we grew up in a childhood of 1 out of 2 parents were divorced. Like, we saw separation. We were latchkey kids. We, went through that. You were blessed, to have 1950s family there, buddy. But I think a lot of us, so the point is, like, we've been seeing what really happens when you neglect, or you have to get revenge, or you have to keep it going. And so there's a point where you just say enough is enough. One generation is going to have to really, bite the bullet and say, we're not going to punish. We're going to stop this now. We're going to rehabilitate. You're not going to be free ever again in your life. Like, I'm not saying you're not playing golf. You're not getting out. But at the same time, we're not going to whip you, and whip our society.
Right. We could try to help to evolve. Yeah.
We try
to help to evolve.
Because it's teaching.
Right.
We've got, at some point, I've realized this with ego. The only way to rise above your ego is for ego to be wrong. It has to take, at least the way public perceives it. That when you finally let your ego go, the other party was going, nah. Well, they will be perceived the winner. Nah, boo boo. Yes, I smell like doo doo. Like, and you realize, and there's a burn. Like, when you rise above your ego, you feel like this fire holding yourself back. It's a weird feeling. But I feel like there's a lot of that that's going to have to happen, where we just, that's what we've come to do. I think to some degree, our generation is to really finally have reign over that ego, which means we lose. We have to be okay with losing.
Well, I think that people are starting with politics. People are recognizing who voted for the last president last time lost, who voted for this president is losing. So people are starting to recognize that now. I mean, it's a hard pill for a lot of people to swallow, especially when they've identified with politics. It's their identity now. And so for that to be wrong, it's like, but no, I base my whole identity off this. So this is just the burn for me that's happening for people to recognize what you're just saying, is that they're going to have to, especially when we put all our hopes and bets on another one person that we don't even know, we're bound to be, disappointed, and it's bound to fail. So I think right now politics has been the catalyst for us to learn that, to understand we were wrong. And we've been wrong because we're so fed up of being wrong now, and being lacking the justice for self and for others. So yeah, I've been saying that's why I don't feel like it's Armageddon. I feel like we've kind of been going through Armageddon in the sense of this chaos. But I feel like this is the rising above. I feel like the phoenix rising, so to speak. But this is what this whole whipping is doing right now with the politics in our psyche right now, is to fuel that.
Yeah. Well, I think that people get obsessed with politics because they're seeing, like, it's like a way of rooting for their injustices in their life. Like they're like picking a team that they want to win, and that team represents all the bad things that's happened to them, and their one hope that it's going to change. And to me, that's not how it works. That's not how it works. I mean, ideally, everyone in democracy votes. Everyone. It's not your representative that makes the decision. You do. I mean, in a perfect world, now with AI and everything and technology, it's like, well, might be careful, but really the people can vote on stuff now. You know what I mean? Like, we can count the votes in a nanosecond, like with quantum computers or whatever. So we're in a whole new space now, where collective mind maybe is where it has to go. And everyone will have equal opportunities as far as intelligence is concerned.
Think 10 years down the road.
I can't even.
Right? 10 years down the road.
I mean, we're not going to recognize.
I'm saying just think, just figuratively, just think 10 years down the road, we've evolved. just think how stupid it's going to sound with people trying to like protest against gay people or protest against gay rights and all that stuff. Like, just think how stupid that would sound 10 years down the road. Like, people really did that? People really like not allowing people to live the way they wanted to live? Just think how dumb that's going to sound then. People were just because of a book from thousands of years ago. This book is determined how people treat other people and it took rights away. Like, it's going to sound dumb in 10 years.
Yeah.
And so, like, I say, if we kind of flash forward to say, does this sound like cool that 10 years, 20 years down the road? Will we be here 20 years down the road worrying about this mundane crap? And I'm saying no, because, you know, it sounds stupid to me today that people care about, you know, who people want to love or not love or how they want to dress or not dress. Like, that's just so stupid that we're even like talking about stuff like that, you know? So 10 years down the road, I'm sure people will catch up and think it's stupid too. You know, because right now that's the injustices right now is like we're saving ourselves from experiencing that fluidity and freedom of spirit, what spirituality and spirit really is. And of course, it's being expressed on other people and how they're believing and don't believe in a lot of crap. But I can go on forever about that, but we don't have the time.
Tune in tomorrow night.
To care.
Go on.
Yeah, that's right. It's saying tomorrow live show again, 6 p.m. Pacific time, 9 p.m. Eastern time. I am to just talk about my story. What's like going between both worlds of being a psychic medium as a kid, young, dealing with trauma, and how I merged the two, and how I dealt with the supernatural world, and to what led me to where I'm at today as a psychic medium and mentor. So, yeah, catch you tomorrow and every Thursday.
And
just a reminder.
Okay, and I have a conference coming up, actually, coming up at the end of the month. It's called the New World Order. And this has to do with the fact that I think there's a different New World Order than we have always thought. I think it's actually something we've always known. I think it's in the back of our minds. I think everyone here has to play a participant of this New World Order. And this is a little workshop. It's a little lecture on what New World Order means. That is something we've always known. And then a little workshop with your own astrology chart where you can work through and see what is your purpose in this New World Order. Whatever it is, it's going to be something reordered. We know that. Things are going to change, and it starts really now. In fact, it looks like it starts officially, you know, right after Thanksgiving. Looking at astrology, like the fuse starts to the big change. So that's it, by the way. newworldorder.xyz. newworldorder.xyz. Gen X, Gen Y, Gen Z. Is that part of that?
Oh, wow, that's cool.
Yeah, isn't it? So cool. Thanks to Michelle for that insight. Well, friend, I think we've done it. We're a minute over now, gosh darn it. But you know, it's going to be an interesting time, folks. Hang in there.
Yeah.
Hang in there.
That's it. Word of the wise. It's gonna be difficult. Hang in there. Yeah, no, it's true. I think we have been hanging in there. I would say stay conscious, stay conscious, and stay intuitive, because then you'll realize that why we're going through what we're going through. So yeah, stay intuitive, guys. Stay conscious.
Stay aware.
Would be my
and
advice.
lead out loud. Speak out loud.
Stay aware.
Next week we'll be back with Peace as a Power Move, our final chapter in Libra. Until next week, we love you. Ciao.
Bye, guys.
My goodness.
How?
Yeah, we got to put out those new commercials. I'm loving them.
Dude, I was having so much fun with that grok. I got my sister into it, my parents into it now.
I've animated like my childhood photos. I've reanimated like a dog. I've made a cartoon of myself. That was the first time.
Yeah, there's so much. My whole photo library is like full now.
Phone is full.
Thank you for that.
Coming up next week on Serious Joy TV. Peace as a power move? That's what Sensei Christopher and co-host psychic medium Scott Cruz will be chatting about on the next Leading Out Loud. The best in enlightened entertainment, only on Serious Joy.